you know, if people's lives get better around the leader, then a lot of people's lives get better at work and at home. So I found what I was looking for, and now I'm helping my clients, a lot of whom are in digital transformation, in financial services, have better lives, and it's absolutely fantastic. Now, I don't know how many people in this group are Marshall Goldsmith's Stakeholder Center coaches. If you're not, I would absolutely recommend it, because I can see Bo nodding in approval, and Joe. Okay, this is really, I think, the best way to get results. There's so much wisdom and common sense in everything Marshall does and has done. So it's helped me tremendously to build my practice as well. So that's it.
Does anybody have any questions for us and for the four of us? Anybody want to speak up or ask a question?
I'd like to ask a question. Just
go ahead, Will. Go ahead.
I'd like to ask a question. Good morning, everyone. Let me say that. Question to Natalie. You talked about your scorecard really being performance and profitability. How do you actually isolate the variables that contribute to the profitability? I mean, what says this is because of incremental or radical performance or improvement in leadership versus other factors in the marketplace? How do you actually draw the distinctions between the factors contributing to the better performance and then attribute it to the coaching?
Yeah, I don't do that. The leaders do it for me. Seriously. They build that case. Absolutely. We do. I spend a lot of time in positioning and doing the discovery and diagnostic with them. Most of the leaders have not really, they have not experienced good coaching, and they don't actually know what does it entail. And so just spending a lot of time in the beginning with them to tell them the whole journey, how it will pan out. I also tell them that many a times you will get this feeling that, is it because of this, or is it because of there was a nice market trend which I rode on, and or it was because of the other things. You will get that feeling. And the more they know the journey right in the beginning, the more they are, I have that card to play when they have that feeling overall. The other thing, Will, that I do is that I do a sale every month. Every coaching call is also a sales call for me. Every coaching call. So it's never, ever done like, sold and let's now coach. I don't do any sell. I coach right in the beginning as well when I meet them for the first time. And I keep coaching them and selling them throughout the journey they stay with me. Because you're right, these thoughts do crop up in their mind. And these are the things which are real. And one has to address it in every call in some way or the other. I have different ways. And in fact, in future calls, one of the topic is like how to retain your clients and talk about customer retention. And I mean, I'll be happy to share what I do and my experience there as well. Does that, I know it's a long answer, but does that answer in terms of how I make sure that the scorecard and the performance measures are, and they don't get into this debate? We never, I mean, on touch wood, I've never had, initially maybe, but I never had that debate whether it is this coaching or it is not. They are with me because it's working as a compounding effect to the whole situation.
And I'd like to add to what Mitali has said. One of the things that coaches fail to do that those of us that have come out of the business world would think to do, we don't always do it, is at the very beginning of the engagement, ask the client measurable questions. What will they consider a return on investment? And to be sure that it's measurable, so that when the engagement is over, you can go back to those numbers and say, here were the improvement markers. We try to figure it out ourselves, and the answer is really with the client.
Hey, Will, did that answer your question?
You're on mute, Will. You're on mute. Will,
you're on mute. Go ahead, Will.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. It's given me additional insights from both of you. Thank you very much.
Go ahead, John. John, you had a question?
Yes, and thanks for recognizing that. My question is for CB, and it has to do with, the Workplace Racial Equity, or pardon me, Equality Initiative. I'm curious about how has the reception been for this important initiative, and what's your early experience been?
I'm not sure I understand the last part of the question with experience.
Well, just, you're obviously, it appears that you're starting a new initiative. And so I'm curious about what the reception has been like for you and for this initiative. And then, what's the experience been like for you so far? You mentioned how exciting a time this is for you, but, what is your view? How do you see this going forward?
So it has been an amazing experience. I pondered for a long time how I could support the Black Lives Matter movement. And I thought, a lot of people are attacking this like, you eat an elephant with one bite. And I thought that's really hard to make a difference and to make a measurable difference. And so I decided to stay within my bandwidth, which is to help coaches in this space. And I will tell you that the website went up overnight, and as did the LinkedIn group. And within 3 days, we were over 70 people that had subscribed on LinkedIn. Now, I don't know if you know anything about LinkedIn algorithms now. It's really hard to get anybody to sign up to a group because there's so many groups. So this was a really good sign for me. And this whole project came about through my coaching a CEO of a Fortune 500 company who had to face his employees and tell them what he planned to do for the organization. And in listening to him and in talking to the coaches that are part of ACEC, questions became real. In other words, do I promote somebody who is Black so that they can be part of my executive team? That's a hard question because it looks at what the rest of the people in the organization are going to look at. How will they feel? How will the Black person feel? And so I'm the person that has those kind of answers. And the engagement with the CEO is ongoing, and he has said it has been an amazing experience. And I thought, why not share what I know?
That's helpful. Thank you so much, CB.
Yeah, very warm reception.
Excellent.
John Boudreau, you had a question?
Thanks, Rhett. This is kind of in general, and that would be so my question is, let's see, I'll tell a story. I tend to come in through the world of human resources. And so the people who nominated me are like Sandy Ogg, who headed human resources. And one of the best compliments I ever got from someone like that was, I hate reading your books, John, because you point out something that was right in front of me all the time and that I'd overlooked. And I hate you. He said, I just want to tell you, I hate reading your books. And then I'm going to tell you that's the best compliment I can give you. Now, so here I was working with the head of HR, and we were talking about some of these questions I asked, like where people can make their pivotal difference and do they get a chance. I think, Mitali, it's probably a small part of what you do. And he said, look, John, the work that you do and that we need to learn about should be applied to our program managers, because the question of where could an improvement in our people make the biggest difference to our success is that it's our program managers. And I'm going to have you work with our leaders, because that's where the money is. And that leads to my question, which is, how does one find the proper entry point when it isn't the CEO or the leadership team? And my experience is that as I dig into organizations, it's actually much more, it's not that they're not important, but I find that they're less, what shall I say, generalizably, I find that it's less the case that you're certain to be at the right spot if you're working with the CEO, and more that there's something deeper in the organization that often doesn't get attention, if I'm making that clear. So I guess in the blunt way, it would be too much focus on the leaders.
You might
Yeah,
want to handle that?
yeah, I could take that question. There's two avenues that are very distinct, and they do involve leaders, but it's not necessarily the C-suite, which I think is where you're going. And so one way that I've talked to so many coaches about is follow the news. And they look at me and they go, what the hell are you talking about, CB? Follow the news. Well, if you look at your news station of choice, be it Fox or CNN or whatever it is, and you follow the stock market, you can easily tell where the organizations have troubled areas and find out who's leading those charges. So for example, in COVID-19, if you were part of, for example, the conference board's free webinars that they were giving out, you heard speakers from various organizations speak at different levels. If you followed, there was another group out there that's marketing brands. Who would have thought? And you follow that and you hear really movers and shakers at a lower level in the organization that are making a great impact, that are probably more receptive to your reaching out to them. So we always think at the top, but there's this whole middle level that's really moving the organization forward. And you find them by reading things that you wouldn't think a coach should be reading. Most of us spend time reading coaching information, when in fact, we should be reading business information. The Black Lives Matter, there's a whole movement in middle management that's pushing upper management like we've never seen before. Those are the people you want to connect with.
Andrew, Matala, you guys have anything to add?
Yeah. Andrew, you want to go?
No, go.
Okay, John, I absolutely understand and relate to the situation that you mentioned. I have just to add on to what CB said. She's covered most of it. Whenever I get that situation, for me, it's not an or. If I get an opportunity to impact program managers and create a difference in the organization, I would go for it. But I would not make it a or as in C-suite or program manager. What I do, and I have done it in past, is I position it as an and. So I say, yep, let's do it. It will make a huge difference. I agree with you. But however, let's just also have the, okay, there's this poll just, okay, sorry, I just got distracted by the.
Sorry.
So what I also do is that I include the leader on it, either as a review rhythm or as someone who can watch and sponsor that change management. And then it becomes an and. So, and once you're into it, then, you know, you can grow your roots into the organization. And that strategy has helped in past. I hope that helps you.
Thank you. Andrew, did you have a comment on that?
Okay, so I've sort of banned, I've banned the word manager. And so I call what would have been called a manager before, I'm calling leaders now, because we lead people and manage things or systems or money, but we don't manage people. We shouldn't be managing people, we should be leading people. And so I think this is because it's leadership that's going to get us through this crisis. It's not management, it's leadership that's going to get us through the crisis. So how do we do, you know, the leader can be a team leader, it can be not necessarily just the CEO or, and also something else that's very important, I think, John, is that now boards or enlightened boards are now asking more for help than they maybe used to in the past. And this is a very, very, very interesting factor to take into consideration.
So,
you know,
go ahead, Andrew, sorry.
So, okay, so that's, you know, how do you, okay, leaders, okay, but if you call what used to be called a manager a leader, then that's one way of getting around, you know, leadership coaching. Forget the management, go for leaders, and tell managers, in fact, don't be managers, be leaders.
So thank you for that answer, Andrew, everyone. So is it Rika you had a question, and Ranjan had a question about prospecting clients. Do you want to ask, Ranjan, do you want to ask your question?
Thank you very much for taking my question. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so my question to all the coaches or the leading coaches are, how do you prospect your client? I know your first client would be giving you more lead, but how do you get your first client to start with? Because selling is not so, I mean, it's not easy. When you're coaching, you cannot sell your coaching practice.
Thank you, Ranjan. Matali, you want to start, or CV?
Selling is a topic which I never ever thought it was my cup of tea, but now I absolutely love it because my mindset has changed towards selling. And if next 5 minutes can change your mindset, then I would love a note to say that yes, this helps. So anyone, and let's do a quick exercise. When you hear the word, because I heard Rajan saying that selling is really difficult, that's not what is required. So when you hear a word salesperson or selling, what words come to your mind? Please write it down. And I've heard all kinds of words, so just be candid and honest. Salesperson, just write the words. Yes, Paula, slick. Open doors. Solving a problem, aggressive, own interest, pushy.
Sleazy, not sleazy.
Oh, needy, promote, aggressive. Okay, I get the point. Pushy. Who wants? Now raise your hands. Who wants to be that person? Who wants? Snake oil. Okay. Yes, thank you for being honest and candid. And I do this with sales because I coach sales leadership teams as well and sales teams as well. So I get this, yeah. Who wants to be that salesperson? All these names, pushy, snake oil, slick, own interest. Anyone who wants to be that? No one, right? That's the number one problem why selling is difficult. That's the number one problem because the mindset and our definition and our understanding of selling is this. And that was my understanding as well 7 years ago. Yeah, 5 to 7 years ago, definitely. Because I thought that is a murky land. You finally get the PO out from somewhere by pushing your interest in, right? But do you want to know what is the real definition of selling? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes.
You can raise your hands if you really want to know what is the real definition of selling. Yeah. Selling is, and just write it down if you have a notebook or anywhere. It's professionally helping someone make a buying decision. Professionally helping someone make a buying decision. The day you get your mindset right on selling, trust me, the business will become much easier. Because unless and until your product is, and excuse me for the word, but if it's really bad and if it's shitty, please don't go out. But if your product is good, your services are great, and you believe in yourself, then it is your duty. And let me stress on that word. It is your duty to go out and help more and more people. So first get that house in order that you have the right product, you can make a difference, and then shift that mindset, which might take, it might take a second, it might be a breakthrough moment today, but it might come gradually. But the day it happens is when you will realize what a fantastic thing it is, because I feel that it is my duty to help more and more leaders be successful because I know I can help them, right? So get that definition right. When that definition is right, then now if you feel that way, if I ask you a salesperson, it will be a different words, hopefully. Because nobody wants to be that pushy salesperson, but that doesn't need to be that way. So like I was saying, I don't do any selling. When my first call happens, I said, come, we'll go for a coaching call. And I coach them to make a buying decision. That's all I do. So it has really eased my selling approach and that pressure of selling, because I was never a salesperson, although I have done sales, but I was never a salesperson throughout. I was more of a process excellence, internal strategy planning person, right? So again, longish, and this is my favorite subject, so I might just keep going on and on. I'll keep shut now. But first is that definition, Rajan, itself, that why it is difficult. And then, of course, how to get your first client is to first market yourself and then get in front of someone. Just get in front of someone. And all of us have so much of network across the world that you can be in front of someone and explain what you do, and then, you know, coach them through. Again, that's longish, so I might actually do a separate session on how to sell and win your clients. I ran a complete marketing engine. My first call came from a telesales engine. So.
I know, I think we have to do some separate sessions on. I think that's a very good question, and something that, if you look at the polling that we just did, that's a hot topic, and I think one that's really, really important, Natalie. A follow-up question to that, and I'm going to let everybody else jump in here in a second. I'm going to let you jump in. I want you to add, though, somebody asked, Monica Loop asked, what if your product is new? And I think that's a great add-on to that question. So go ahead and jump in, CB.
Can I say something on that?
Just a minute, Justin.
Okay.
Let me add to what Mitali has said, although she's left little room to add because she covered it all. But I want to challenge you with changing your vocabulary around selling and remove the word selling and think of the word supporting, right? So you want to support people that you find needs your support. That's part A. Part B is, I had an interview, and if you all are following me on LinkedIn, you'll be able to see it. I interviewed Dory Clark the other day, and Dory is a mastermind at helping people become thought leaders. And so really what you want to do is think of yourself now as thought leaders. I can't tell you how many master level coaches I've spoken to, and I've used the word thought leader, and they said, oh no, I'm not a thought leader. Well, there's a problem right there in selling yourself, because you are a thought leader to your clients. You may not be a global thought leader, but to your clients you are. And so she said to me, there are 3 major points to becoming a thought leader. And one of the mistakes people make is they pick one, then they go to the next one, then they go to the next one. All 3 have to happen at once. 1, content creation. If you're not writing for LinkedIn or any other journal, you can't get your name out, so therefore you're not recognized. Now, it doesn't mean somebody's going to pick up the phone immediately and call you, but what you want in marketing, remember, the adult learning theory is 5 times exposure. So writing an article, somebody sees it, that's only 1 time exposure. So does everybody understand what I mean about content creation, right? The next is social proof yourself. What does that mean? People want to know that you're credible. How do you become credible? Getting yourself out, content creation, right? Your website, some people don't even have websites. I mean, no blogs. Are you blogging for other people other than just yourself? Are you sending in articles to the Association of Corporate Executive Coaches, who has a blog, right? And then the last one is what we're doing here is develop your network. So think about those 3 things as part of your social and selling engagement. And Rhett will tell you one of the biggest ones now is social networking. He is a mastermind at this. Rhett has over, what, 1 million followers, Rhett, on LinkedIn?
No.
How many is it?
It's about 150,000 or so.
Oh, gee, just 150,000. Okay, well, to forget Rhett, right? I mean, he's just all over LinkedIn, and you want to have that kind of following, right? He publishes in Forbes, in Inc. I mean, he is the icon that you want to aspire to.
Oh, I'm an icon. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. That's why I hang out with you, Rhett.
All right, I'm blushing now, CB. I'm blushing. And that's hard to do. All right. So we're going to move on before that gets anywhere else. Do we have any other questions?
I
Go
have a
ahead,
question.
Justin, go
I
ahead.
have a question. I have a
Yeah,
question.
Coral, I'll tell you what, we'll start with Justin and then we'll come to Coral.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you. Natalie and CV, that was so interesting to hear about social proofing and networking. And I've been building my LinkedIn population as well, Rhett, but I'm only on 20,000, so I got a long way to catch you up. In terms of the sales process, we did a pilot study with MG coaches as part of the sales training, and we had some really good results. As a result, we're now running a program with Sir Carrie Cooper at a university, looking at the neuroscience of sales. So Mitali, I'd love to have a deep dive with you to see how you are doing and to share with you what results we're getting. I'm having to refer out clients now because I have a full workload. And who would have thought that during this time it would be booming in the coaching land? But it really is really good idea. So it'd be nice to have a further conversation for those who are interested about the buying brain and what you can do to be hypnotically engaging clients and serving them rather than trying to sell them. And CV, around the language that you said, I think that's a key point. And the language is not only the words, but it's also the network and the context that you're connecting with them around that. So thanks, Rhett. That was my 10 cents worth.
Okay, thanks, Justin. Coral, what was your question?
Yeah, so thank you. When Andrew introduced himself, he said that he focuses on leaders in the digital transformation in financial services space. And my question was about the niche and the idea of whether or not you selected your niche ahead of time or it was something that evolved, because that's quite a specific description, which is what I think we're all being told we need to do. And so it was like, did you choose that and go for it, or did it evolve? Or if you could talk a bit about that, that'd be great.
Okay, thank you, Coral. Coral, where are you? Yes, I can see you now. Okay, so well, I've been working in finance, in the finance sector for many, many years, and it sort of evolved. I did anticipate it evolving because it just had to, you know. And so I identified that as a really, really interesting niche market. The other thing is, I think what some of my people like, some of my clients like, is I'm probably a lot older than they are. So I help them not make a whole load of pretty stupid mistakes that I probably made when I was a kid. So it's it's quite an interesting symbiotic relationship. I'm learning tons about what they do, and I'm teaching them a lot about what to stop. Because one of the biggest things in coaching is, as Peter Drucker said, was, you know, we shouldn't be teaching leaders what to do. We should be teaching them what to stop. And I think I help younger people to stop doing certain things that maybe they would go off track or something like that. So I'm not a father figure. I wouldn't like to say that, but I am. You know, I'm like an uncle or something. Anyway, so I did see it coming because I've been around a long time, and digital in the financial services sector is a very, very interesting market for me. Anyway, so
Hey Chris, how are you?
I hope that helps.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Coral, for the question. We have a couple interesting questions from Emily, and somebody's got their. Thank you for muting. And we've got an interesting question from Emily. Emily, do you want to ask it, or do you want me to ask it for you? Do you want to step in?
Come on, Emily.
Yeah, sure.
You had a couple questions there.
Yeah. So I am one of the facilitators in North America who certifies new coaches in the Marshall Goldsmith Stakeholder Centered Coaching. And one of the questions that I see, or one of the challenges that comes up a lot from new coaches, is just how to make the initial connection to get started, even getting into the sales process, to have that conversation. And I've also spoken recently with a number of HR leaders about how coaches are approaching them to make that connection, with a number of them really being tired of what I would call the LinkedIn spam attack, or the ninja attack, as I like to call it. Let's be friends, now I'm selling you my business. And so I think that this COVID challenge of everyone working electronically has been a real challenge for people to figure out, how do you even start or get into the conversation where you can start feeling like you can help people professionally sell. And I thought this could be a great topic for the panel to talk about for a lot of the coaches.
Yeah, I think we could probably do several sessions on both of those questions. And I think that's a fantastic question, and we can try to give it a quick answer today. But I think that's something we definitely need to dive into. And not only the panel that's here today in our group here, but I think everybody here has valuable experience that could probably help the group. And that's the other part of this, right? Is it's not just about the stuff that we have in our toolkits. It's what you guys have in your toolkits that you can share with others. I think that's a really important thing. Mitali, you've added clients in the pandemic pretty aggressively. Do you want to talk about that and how you go about, because you're really on fire right now? Can you talk about how you're adding clients and talk about that a little bit?
Sure, Red, and thank you for that question, Emily. It's a great question, and I would right now scope it to what you asked in terms of how to get your first client. Like, of course, we'll talk about building up the practice later on. So it is what you said, and all the concerns that you raised on behalf of the coaches are absolutely true. LinkedIn spam has become such a nuisance or a polluted online world, as I would say, because there are some gems out there. There's some real ones. Like, I pass on a lot of work on LinkedIn. I get a lot of work on LinkedIn as well. So it works. In fact, every marketing strategy works. To get the first client and to make that first step, my suggestion and things that have worked for me would be, first is referral. Like, that's the best way. So that doesn't mean, like, in your own circle of influence, who can you ask, request, reach out to, if they want to kind of work with you? That's the first. But that also sometimes people find very difficult to ask for directly, because that's more like selling. The best way is to ask them that, I've got Marshall goals, I've got stakeholder centered certification, and I'm raring to grow. I'm looking for a leader in this industry. And in fact, do some homework to find out that they already are connected to someone. So if they can ask that, would it be okay if you can introduce me, so say, to CB? Like, if somebody in my contact list says, like, I know that you work with CB, we have seen you in different sessions together, will it be okay if you can introduce me to CB? That's the safest, easiest, less pressure kind of a question that the new coaches can go for. The second area which always has helped me is the strategic partnerships. So like, I work with my bank. So I work with HSBC, which is my bank account for business, and the relationship manager there, the director there, they're always invested in your success. I mean, they are invested. You are a business banking customer for them. And that is one area which has that partnership also works. And similarly, my other strategic partnerships as well, which can help. So those are two places which are really easy to go and more comfortable to go for the new coach. And I would suggest to start there. However, going forward, there are other marketing strategies that you can bolt on to reach out to the customers, especially when you start having success stories in your pocket and your folder of case studies.
And I would like to add to that, a lot of us are forgetting the old-fashioned way of starting, which is volunteerism. But I would be very strategic in my volunteerism. So you're just not going out and saying, oh, I'm here, let me coach you. There are groups that look for coaches. For example, the military, right? And these are hardcore clients. And once you start working with them, there's a lot, and I know of a couple of organizations. Once you start working with them, let me take a step back. The goal here is ex-military people who want to now move into the non-military space. And so they're looking for coaches to help them. Now, you might say this is career coaching, but it's not, because you're involved with people who have experienced trauma, right? That goes into behavioral coaching. And so working with them to build and to move into the public space, and then retaining them as they're moving up in the corporate space, now you have a client. So being very strategic about your volunteerism and going for it. And that, by the way, helps you build content, because wouldn't it be a great article to write about how you transform somebody's life, especially the military right now, as we support our country, whatever country you're at, and how you help them move into the corporate space and up the ladder in the corporate space. What a great article that would be, right? Inspiring, and it talks to your success.
Mm-hmm. Just great. One thing, talk about old style starting out. We talked about this yesterday, CB, when we were preparing for today's session, was when Marshall said he used to carry the bags. He was the bag carrier
for Peter Drucker.
Remember?
Right. Yeah.
Well, yeah, for some pretty interesting people. He was carrying bags for people. I mean, and I think we have to try and do that. It's not something that comes naturally, but and maybe it's even as we move up the profession, we're carrying bags too. There is some, we've got John Boudreau here in the group today. Fantastic guy. I'd happily carry his bags. Are you listening, John? Are you still there? I'd happily carry his bags. Because
I'm speechless, by the way. I'm speechless, Andrew, is why I didn't say anything. So
the fact is, we have people whose bags we can carry. And don't be proud. Huh? Don't be, and it's not about the coach, is it? It's about the clients. So if we can help our clients have a better life, then that's it. So, John, give me a few bags to carry.
So we've got
that's
a
amazing.
few more minutes. We've probably got a time for one more question. I will put a couple of reminders. Please email me. I've put my email address in the chat. If you want to get on the newsletter so we can email the schedule, now that we've got some ideas for programming, we can put out a schedule for the next couple of months. We've got a really great list here now of topics. So please do email me. I put my email in the chat so that you guys so we can get you on the mailing list and we don't miss anyone. I've also put the schedule for July 30th, the 13th, and the 27th of August. So make sure to copy and paste that and put that on your calendar or your diary, and depending on where you are and what you call it. So we've got.
Can I step in and mention that in terms of building relationships, everybody on this call wants to follow each other on LinkedIn. This is really important. You'll see lots of new information, content, see what everybody's doing, and support them by making a comment. So what happens with LinkedIn algorithms, if you make a comment on their post, make it in a question form so other people will answer, and you start moving up as part of your marketing in search engine optimization. Few people realize that.
Archana, one of the plans is to have a directory, and that's why I'm asking for your email address so that we can create a site for this group that is going to be helpful for everyone. So that is one of the plans, is to create a directory of coaches so that we can all have a better and stronger network. I think we've got time for one more question, if anybody. And I see people putting their emails in the chat. What would be great is if you could just email me directly, so that we can make sure that we get you in the directory. You had a question. Let's see.
Ed
Joe,
Sherman
Joe, you
has-
had a question.
Yeah. My question is, we're seeing COVID, of course, surge in the US, and as such, a lot of businesses are just feeling that retraction and not doing a lot. What offers are coaches making now that are generating some results?
Anybody want to handle that? Or anybody in the audience want to take a stab at that? Feel free to jump in.
I've got a comment already. Thanks, Evie.
Yeah, one of the things that I mentioned earlier is to follow the news. So if you are following the news, you'll realize that the number one, wait, let me ask the question. Does anybody know, put it in the chat, what the number one issue is that CEOs and leaders and executives are dealing with right now? Number one.
What is it?
Burnout.
Burnout?
So
Yeah.
think of the lower level of the triangle of a corporation as being the area that we see burnout, even up to the middle level. But now we're seeing it from the mid to the upper level. Biggest areas of concern for CEOs is burnout. So if you are having your portfolio the tools and information to deal with burnout, that's a strong selling point right now. Again, it's following the trends, watching the news, understanding what's going on, that allows you to walk into a potential client and say, I can support you in this area.
I wish we could do more today, guys. We are at the hour. There are dozens of questions we didn't get to. There are dozens of comments and people who wanted to speak and we didn't get to them. I apologize. I wish we could have, but we want to be respectful of your time and everybody else's time. So we're going to wrap up, but this has been fantastic. I hope this is the start of a wonderful network where we can all lean on each other and lean on each other's experiences. And that's the whole intent, again, from our perspective. Archana, great recommendation. Put your niche along. When you do send me that email, put your niche in there, what kind of coaching you focus on. That would be extremely helpful. Thank you, Emily, for your comment on the Stakeholder-Centered Coaching's LinkedIn group. That's a great group to be part of. So please take a look for that. And we will see you guys again on the 30th. Same time, same bat channel. And if you don't get that joke, I'm sorry. Same time and same link or Zoom channel. How about that?
Brett,
So,
could you verbally give your email address again? It's way back in the chat. People may not see it.
yes, it's Rhett, R-H-E-T-T, at rhettpower.com. I will put it in there again.
And that's power
there.
with an S.
It is. It's in the chat right now.
Yes. Got to go, guys. Okay. Right. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Come
Have
in,
a great day.
come in. It's okay. It's absolutely okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Nice
you,
job.
everyone.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take a seat.
Andrew and Rhett, we have a meeting right after.
Take a seat.
Yep.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Edgar. Hey, Bo, we got to catch up, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, Red. Thanks, Evie. What a treat to see you guys
Well,
again.
Thanks,
It was
Justin.
brilliant. Sorry I had to drop out so often with the bad Wi-Fi.
Okay, Rhett, you want to tune into my channel?
Yep, I'm just doing a few things. I'm getting a couple poll results real quick.
Okay, great. I'm going to jump off.
Okay.